hours of the early day, we have the opportunity to cultivate our inner listening. And it is quite a rabbit hole. In listening and in listening deeply, the rabbit hole, although that it's deep, the more information and insight that we get clear on firsthand from our own onboard divine innate intelligence. At some point, we have the opportunity to contend with reality, or the reality of accountability and responsibility. Personal accountability and responsibility. Accountability and responsibility. And accountability that is by no means taking on other human beings' shite or their projections on you, or owning responsibility for what others have done to you intentionally out of perversion or even in ignorance. Though the rabbit hole will lead us ultimately to accountability, being accountable 110% responsible for our own lives. And that's with whatever myriad of circumstances that we have been handed in this life. Responsibility, we are responsible 110% for our choices. That's whether others have cleaned up and applied corrective actions to things they've done to you and others or not. It is still our responsibility to make choices for our health and well-being to the best of our ability in this lifetime. And the reality of the things that we quote unquote fear, I invite you to look up the 6 basic human fears. The reality is hard hitting. It's hidden in plain sight. And as you sit in quiet, and eventually as the myriad of thoughts start to seem to slow down enough for you to get synchronized and to be able to see and to process your thoughts, you may or may not realize that a lot of our life is consumed with avoiding pain, and we are encouraged to glut on pleasure in the form of vices and distraction. The quiet of the early day affords you the opportunity to listen to an onboard divine innate internal guidance system, not to be confused with that part of our psyche that is commonly termed the ego, which also has a purpose to help us discern, although it's illogical, but discern enough just to get out of harm's way. The defense mechanism part of our psyche, it has a purpose as well. And so it would appear many of us are unwilling and find reality distasteful, inconvenient, scary, heartbreaking. If we were to take on 110% responsibility for our lives, for things we'd like to take on, gifts we'd like to cultivate, if we were to take on corrective action, if we were to take on consistently, if we were to take on committed action through perceived failures, if we were to take on the reality that the body transforms and eventually will reach a peak, a decline, and wither away. Though we can prolong it, it's a rabbit hole relaxation. Many of us are unwilling to deal with many of the realities of life on this plane, so we choose distraction. And we can choose hours, years worth of distraction, using our reproductive organs to distract us. And there's duality. There is duality in this universe. There's a type of divine distraction. Even relaxation, going in, can be considered a type of divine distraction. And then there's the fantasies that are crafted for us through these little screens. Someone else's narrative that is being changed at a whim, constantly changing. And so we glare at the screens, and smile and laugh and cry and are horrified by the pictures that are being narrated and emoting feelings and driving behaviors, all dumped into our subconscious. And many of us are paralyzed in suspended animation almost, in looping and playing back the images of what happened with our mother or our father and why they weren't this and why they weren't that. And maybe perhaps the very real harm that was done at our own birth parents' hands. And so we spend a large portion of our life suspended in looping fears and perceived insecurities and inadequacies and agitation and sadness. And so at what point do we get to the courage to live and to fully express? And what kind of chance do we have if all of this weighed down mental processing has us over-medicating? What chance do we have without vitality and health if we're constantly clogged and weighed down mentally and physically based on our consumption patterns? I invite you to take access to your own relaxation via your breath. So you're welcome to lie down on the floor with your palms faced up and legs fully extended, allowing the feet to fall open at the sides in a position of relaxation and surrender. And to do a scan of your body, allowing your toes to relax and your feet to relax. Feeling the weight of your toes fall open towards the floor. Allowing your shins and your calves to relax, the back of your knees to relax. Feel your thighs become heavy and melt into the floor. Allow your hips to relax. Allow your glutes to sink. The weight of them sinks down into the floor. Feel the weight of your lower back relax into the floor. Allow your stomach muscles to relax. Feel your belly button sink in the direction of the ground. Allow your spine and your internal organs to rest into the floor, sinking deeper into the ground. And take a nice big inhale. And exhale. Allow your chest and your heart to melt into the floor. Feel the weight of your fingertips and your thumb and your palms open and sink down into the earth. Allow your wrists and your forearms to relax. Allow your elbows to melt into the floor. Allow your upper arms and your shoulders to relax. Feel your neck and your head relax. Allow your eyes to rest deeply into the socket. Allow your ears to relax. Allow the tongue to rest heavily in the mouth. Feel the hair on your head relax. Become aware of the sound of your breathing, the rise and fall of your chest, the tempo and the rhythm of your heartbeat. Feel the hollow of your breath as it enters and leaves your nose. You see, the reality of it is that we are projecting onto this plane now, and we don't fully know what lies in the wait of the next plane. And so on this one, we have the opportunity to embrace corrective action, to strengthen our bodies, to intentionally choose relaxation in order to give us access to joy. We can intentionally choose how we're going to use our time. We can intentionally choose to nourish ourselves and be cognizant of what we're allowing into our psyches to the best of our ability, given the climate that we're in. Though know this, relaxation, all for the point of inner listening, is critical and necessary. You're invited today to breathe in the breath of life in full appreciation, pressing pause on the movie screen of your mind, pressing pause on the looped memory of experiences had. You're invited to breathe in space, in clarity, in openness to new health, earned, of course, and new experiences and a lightness. The breath gives us access. I invite you to allow yourself to close the chapters of the traumas and the violations violations of trust, to close them and place them on a shelf to be referred to only for lessons and reasons for clarity and responsibility and accountability, all in an effort to allow yourself new space for more life lived. And know that we need vitality and clarity and strength and flexibility and an open, proactive mind to do so. You're invited today to appreciate every breath of life, to appreciate beautiful nutrient-dense food, to appreciate your hair, skin, and body parts of this very divine vehicle that we walk this earth plane with. I invite you to inhale, taking in fresh new oxygen and air, and exhaling old mental conditioning and old memories. You're invited to relax so that you have access to moving intentionally and efficiently, so that you can move with grace and health and allow yourself to dance and to move and to rest and to be in action when it is time to be in action around the things that you say, that you determine are important to you, to the things that you determine you'd like to experience in this lifetime. Know that you are deserving of all that you decide to be deserving of, and that your mind is open to receiving in alignment with actions. Actions are where your results are. Actions and relaxation, accountability and responsibility. You're invited to create a great day on purpose because you said so. Feel free to lie on the floor today and take a mental health break, doing absolutely nothing. And invite you to ask the question in today's contemplation. What is it that you'd most like to experience while you're on this earth plane? And quietly smile to yourself. Also quietly inhale in peace and acceptance of what will be required at whatever time and space you are, what will be required, honestly, for you to have the experience that you'd like to have. I invite you to breathe in peace and calmness and to proceed from there. Create a great day on purpose.